What is at my feet? My feet? Duh. The floor.
Oh my gosh. What are these things?
What are these things? They're like hands with
Guys,
short fingers.
I have feet.
Oh, goodness.
We shouldn't record the podcast this late.
No, not at all.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Search for Awesome podcast. I am Titus.
And I'm Mikey.
This week we're talking about YouTube replacing YouTube Red, Red's new phone that is launching soon. Is Facebook a monopoly?
We're also going to be talking about Consumer Reports and how they don't recommend the Tesla Model 3. I said that right, the Tesla Model 3. Also, we're going to talk about Titus's new favorite app. We'll tell you what kind of app that is in just a minute.
Starting up, YouTube is replacing YouTube Red. So YouTube is making big changes, kind of. Here's the problem with all this news is it's really confusing what they're doing. If you didn't know, YouTube had a service they called YouTube Red, and it was $10 a month. It offered a free YouTube experience with no ads, access to YouTube Red Originals, which are like original content that they made with YouTube creators and some other people as well. And also they offered free access to their Spotify competitor, Google Play Music. And it was just for $10 a month. It was a great deal. But now they're changing all that. And it actually appears to be from the success of Cobra Kai. They're wanting to get into more original content, is my hunch. So they're raising the price of YouTube Red a little bit, and they're changing the name from YouTube Red to YouTube Premium. And this is where it gets confusing. And they're also spinning off their music service to what they're calling YouTube Music. So it's not YouTube Play Music anymore, and that is $10 a month. But if you get YouTube Premium, it comes with YouTube Music. So now for $12 a month, you can get an ad-free YouTube experience, access to YouTube Red Originals, and YouTube-funded content. Some people are not happy about this because they kind of feel like YouTube is getting away from their vision and that kind of stuff, and they're worried that maybe YouTube is changing a little too much and maybe going to start holding out on their creators.
You know, we've talked about situations like this before where people get upset about things changing. I feel like it's one of those things like they're a big company. I mean, I think it's great that people want to make content and they want to be able to be reimbursed for that, but like they're a company that's got to survive regardless of what's going on with individual creators like us. They can't just always focus on the creators if they've got a good business decision to make. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, and well, the coolest thing about this that a lot of people aren't talking about, the problem with YouTube Red is that it wasn't available in all countries. In fact, I think even Canada, it wasn't available. If you lived in Canada and your favorite YouTuber launched a YouTube Red show, there was no way to see it unless you like pirated it or something like that. And so now you can do that because a lot of countries are getting this new YouTube Premium as an option. Here's the thing. I think it's actually a good thing because YouTube is becoming a bigger and bigger player in Google's ultimate strategy. And I think for myself and Mikey and all the other YouTubers out there, I think this is a good thing because I think the bigger YouTube becomes and the more people are invested in it, the more people that can find, you know, whatever you're making and that kind of stuff. So, and also it kind of appears that Google is kind of seeing YouTube as of all the things that they've made, that this is the thing that people really like. So they're using that brand to house more and more of their digital entertainment. There's only so much original content, and if somebody's looking for more stuff, they might stumble across a Search for Awesome video or maybe, you know, another YouTube creator's video. And all of a sudden they realize, hey, maybe some of this free content is actually really good, which there's a lot of good stuff out there. So creators creating things, that is still the core of what YouTube does. And this is just a vision broadening that and bringing more people to the table.
I definitely agree, man. I definitely agree.
Okay, the next bit of news I thought that was kind of interesting, and it's honestly a little controversial and even political to some degree, but it starts with a question. Is Facebook a monopoly? There is a group that is called Freedom from Facebook that thinks that they are, and they're petitioning the FCC to break them up into separate companies. The reasoning is that Facebook is becoming too powerful, and they have built this unstoppable monopoly, and basically the government should step in. And here's from their words. Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg have amassed a scary amount of power. Facebook unilaterally decides the news that billions of people around the world see every day. It buys up or bankrupts potential competitors to protect its monopoly, killing innovation and choice. And so basically, they are thinking that if the government will intervene and break it up into separate companies, then it'll diminish their power to where they can't take advantage of that kind of stuff. So, and supposedly they have raised over $1 million to run ad campaigns to push this idea to the public and get this petition into action. I don't really know where I stand on this because I see their point. Facebook is very powerful, but I also kind of see why this might not be a good idea. I get the fact that they're scary, but I also kind of think it's a little weird when you punish a company for succeeding. Like, if you want to call Facebook anti-competitive, I'm just going to call you wrong. They're not anti-competitive. That's like saying Tom Brady's anti-competitive because he keeps winning so many Super Bowls. They're super competitive. They're just good at competition.
But see, the problem here is, though, that it's not just that they're competitive and that they're pushing to do bigger and better things and they're being really successful. It's also the fact that they have a lot of data and they have a lot of control over a lot of things, and they haven't been very open about that in the past. It looks like they're trying to start now, but I feel like a lot of the damage has been done there about what they're doing with our data and how they're storing that. I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, here's the thing. And again, I don't really know where I stand on this. I see the pluses and minuses on both sides. But where does this stop? Like, what about Google? Google has a lot of data. Do you want to break them up into all their companies as well? And by the way, one thing I didn't explain was how they're proposing them being broken up. And basically, if you don't know this, Facebook has, throughout their history, have acquired Instagram, they acquired WhatsApp, and they created their own messaging platform. And basically, they would divide it back up into the apps that they essentially bought. So these companies that they bought would become their own companies again if this vision and this petition becomes an action. But it's kind of crazy, though, that a industry that didn't even exist like 20 years ago has now been considered monopolized. I wonder if that's a little bit jumping the gun. But they kind of do own most of the market. But here's the other question. Is it really a monopoly? Because Twitter is a competitor, Snapchat's a competitor, but they're not really great competitors. And because Facebook is really good at what they do.
I'd wager to say that they are a monopoly. I mean, I know they're still pretty young as far as a company, but you got to look at the fact that they found an area that nobody was really taking over very well. I mean, you had things like MySpace and stuff like that in the past, but Facebook really realized that they had something early on and they went with it, and they've really worked hard with that competitive nature. And I think they kind of do monopolize it. They kind of do control everything. And then you've got Snapchat and Twitter. I feel like they own a lot of it.
I'll be honest. I see the pluses and minuses. I could see how Facebook could use their power to manipulate our government and our society if they wanted to. So I guess it really comes down to, do you trust Facebook with this much power? That's really, I think, the sticking point. And that's a question I can't answer for you. But I'm very interested to hear you guys' comments. I would love to hear your perspective. Do you trust Facebook enough to run their company responsibly? Or do you think, they should break up and you're up for signing for this petition? So definitely interested in hearing you guys talk about this. So let me know.
All right, we're also going to be talking about Red's new phone. So Red is a major camera maker that makes awesome movie and TV production cameras. Some YouTubers use them. They're really cool. They're expensive. I mean, they're around like $6,000 expensive.
That's like for the base model too. They have ones that are a lot more expensive than that.
I don't think like, hey, I should start making videos. Let me go buy a $6,000 camera. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of a lot. But anyways, around last year, they announced that they were launching this phone, and pre-orders began in around August, I want to say. And so now it's actually going to be launching this year in August, and it's going to be about $1,300, which I feel like is kind of high. But I don't know, when you compare it to things like the iPhone X, I don't think it's that high. What do you think?
I think it's really high. I think that's unless you actually put a red sensor in these cameras, which, I mean, obviously a red sensor would be a lot more expensive, but unless there's like some technology here that you literally cannot get anywhere else.
That's what I was going to say. I feel like there has to be that technology that really takes above and beyond, that makes these other phones really just feel lacking. They have what is called 4View. And it's basically kind of like 3D view, but it's more immersive. So you can look around things and stuff. It's also going to be able to record in 4View. I don't know. It's almost like a holographic experience. Do you know a better way to explain it, Titus?
I mean, I haven't seen it. I did hear that some people like some reporters have actually seen the technology and they said it was very impressive. So I'm interested to see it. But the thing is, I don't know if I ever will see it. I do know that they're like launching a camera with it as well that can record this 4-view content. So if the only screen that you can watch this on is on this phone, I don't know how big of a deal it is. I also know that some other camera manufacturers have tried 3Ds in their phone before, and it didn't really do that well. I personally think this is going to be a major failure.
See, you know, the more I think about it, I'm not going to lie to you. When we first talked about it, I was kind of like, oh man, this is going to be awesome. But the more I think about it, it kind of takes me back to when 3D TVs started coming out, you know, and how cool they were. And everybody had to have a 3D TV. It was the biggest thing. And now you can't even hardly find them in stores. So, I don't know. It'd be interesting to see. I would love to see them come out with something that really kind of changes the game and makes people want to be a part of this. I guess we'll find out.
Oh, one other feature about this phone I did hear about is that you could use it in tandem with some of the Red cameras, like so you could use it as like a monitor. So that is kind of neat because a lot of their accessories are very expensive. Not too many individuals own Red cameras. So I don't know how many people would actually buy this to use with a Red camera. Like mostly I would think studios own them and like rental, like people rent them out versus actually owning them.
I mean, we're talking like less than 10% of the population here.
Oh yeah, I would probably say less than 0.5%. Like yeah, it's got to be very low. We'll see how they do. I wish them luck. All right, so the last bit of news is Consumer Reports is not recommending the new Tesla Model 3. If you don't know what Consumer Reports is, it's like a paid service that you can pay to see their reviews and their recommendations on different products. And they do very intensive reviews, and they compare them to a large variety of products. And they recently did a review of the Model 3, and they said, you shouldn't buy it. But it's not because of the price. The first one was their braking system. Apparently, the Tesla Model 3 had a stopping distance of what they're calling a stopping distance of 152 feet after 60 miles per hour, which was, in their estimate, pretty bad. Just to give you an idea of how intensive they get with these reviews. They said it was 7 feet longer than a Ford F-150. Hey, I know someone who owns a Ford F-150.
Hey, that's me.
So Elon didn't like this review, and he actually said that they are going to issue a firmware fix for the braking system. Can I just point out how insane it is that they can issue a firmware update?
You know, I was just thinking the same thing. Like, how is that a thing? That's when you know you've actually made it to 2018, when they can just issue an update.
Yeah, you need an oil change, and it's like, oh, and like you just jack them in, and they just like they play some computer code or something. I don't know. Like it's just like, what? Like, how does this even work? And also, their second issue that they took with it was that the display. Now, if you know anything about Teslas, they have very large, like tablet-sized screens that control all the gizmos and stuff in the car. They said it is distracting because for anyone to use it, they would have to look away from the road. Because if you think about it, dials and buttons, you can feel them. You can't really know what you're pressing on a touchscreen without actually looking at it. So they said that for those two reasons, they couldn't recommend it. I guess it was a safety concern. I don't know how I feel about them saying they can't recommend it. I mean, come on, like... It's Tesla.
So I feel like the problem here, I mean, like the braking system, that's awful, but I feel like that's something they can fix. The size of the screen, there's nothing they can do about that unless they just don't sell the car and they replace it. We've had a huge problem with, you know, cell phone crashes and stuff like that, people playing on their cell phone and stuff. I feel like this is just giving them something else to distract them from the road. I don't know. I'm not here to, you know, judge people's driving or whatever, but...
Well, here's the big thing, Mikey. Would that big touchscreen stop you from buying one? If you had the money.
If I had the money and I was looking for that vehicle, I mean, I don't think it would stop me, but I definitely would be concerned of how distracted I would get. I mean, we're not talking about stopping the consumer here. I mean, from a safety standpoint, you know, from a lawmaking standpoint, you know, where do we draw the line with this technology? That we're cracking down on people using their cell phones, but here you are with this extremely large tablet sitting there. How's that any better than using your cell phone?
Yeah, I guess it depends on what you're using it for and how often you take and how complicated the UI is or whatever. If like you're having to go through like 20 menus to get to the thing, to the radio station or something, that's pretty bad. But yeah, I don't know. I think they have a point though. For me, I don't think it would stop me from buying a Tesla. I guess I'm not worried about that. I don't know. It can drive itself, right? Like, if I really wanted to. They're such cool cars. So, but what would stop me from getting one is the price tag. That's the part that I have a problem with. Anyway, so let us know if it would stop you from buying one. But that might be a little harsh on Consumer Reports End to say they wouldn't recommend it for those two reasons.
They've not been known to be friendly. I mean, they're very unbiased and they're very to the point.
Yeah, I mean, safety, that's true. I mean, they got to sleep at night if they really think it is a massive safety concern.
All right, Titus, so I want to talk to you about something that's kind of got out of hand. If you remember correctly, I told you a while back that me and my son Benjamin got into yo-yos, right? Well, he kind of lost interest, and that's not the real problem. The real problem is I didn't, and I kind of got hooked on buying yo-yos.
Me and you have a pretty obsessive personality.
No, we do. So I literally have a yo-yo case now. For those of you that are just listening to this as a podcast, you can't see this, but I literally have a yo-yo case full of about 20 different yo-yos. And the worst part is like they just keep coming. I keep telling my wife that, like, I promise I'm not ordering them. I don't know how they keep coming to the house. She's not buying it. I don't blame her. They're literally just, there's all different kinds. There's different colors. I don't know what it is, but I love them. They're cool. I'm awful with them, but I like them.
Yeah, me and you are very different in that regard. I just don't think, I don't know. That's, I mean, what I meant to say was, that's cool. All right, the thing that I think is awesome this week is my new podcasting app. It's called Pocket Cast, and I was looking for a podcasting app that, one, didn't have ads, and two, could like do playlists and had some neat features and that kind of stuff. Pocket Cast is $4. I believe it's on, it's definitely on Android. I think it's on iOS as well. It's just amazing. You can basically set settings for each individual podcast. So I have like 20 podcasts I listen to, and so I can say for this one, it's normally quieter than the other one, so I want on this one it to boost the audio. And from this one, I know that there's an ad that always starts that's a minute long. So let me just have it fast forward a minute every time I hit play. So whenever I first played, it always starts a minute in. And this one is one of my favorite podcasts. So whenever a new one comes out, put it at the very top of my playlist. And this one, I like the podcast. It was not my favorite. So put it at the bottom, of my playlist whenever it comes out. I don't know, man. I love the app, though. I highly, highly recommend it.
I have to agree. I love Pocket Cast. It's definitely one of the better podcast apps that you can get, and that's it. So I feel like they're actually trying to do some things. I feel like they definitely need to take in some user feedback and make a few changes, but I definitely think they got a good thing going. I definitely think it's worth the $4 for sure.
All right, a couple last things. Mikey, we talked about the OnePlus 6. I was debating about whether I should order it, and Tuesday this week, it was when the sales opened at 10 o'clock. And guess who was on their website at 10 o'clock ordering the OnePlus 6?
Obama.
This guy?
Oh.
Well, he might have.
Oh, you.
Obama,
okay.
Actually, I think he's an iPhone guy.
Oh, okay. My bad.
Dude, I was like, I couldn't resist. Finally, I was like, I really need a new phone. Well, that's not true. But I wanted a new phone. and so I put my order in, and it said it was going to be here. I forget what day, but it was like going to be here in like a week or something. And then I realized after I ordered it that I made a horrible, horrible mistake. I ordered the wrong case. 30 minutes later, I realized it. I canceled my order. It pushed my delivery date back 3 days. That one mistake, that 30-minute delay messed me up, but it hurts. It hurts. First world problems.
Right? Like to a T.
Yeah. This expensive toy of mine is going to be here 3 days later than I wanted it, or than when it was supposed to.
Can everyone on the internet please just feel bad for him right now? Thank you.
Please. Yes, I could use some. I'm excited to get it, though, and I don't know. But you know what? 3 days. I'm canceling more. I'm just going to get an iPhone.
I wish you meant that. He's never getting an iPhone.
No.
I will literally own a Tesla 3 before he gets an iPhone.
All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I guess we'll see you guys next time. If you have any feedback for us, you can leave it on the Anchor app. You can leave us a voice message, that's an app on iOS and Android, or you can send us an email to, what is it, Mikey?
podcast@thesearchforawesome.co.
Yep, that's it. Podcast@thesearchforawesome.co. Yeah. Drop us a line, and we'll see you guys next week.